Aye no gobori.
Na boli.
In the laid-back rural village of Irianyi in Nyamira County in Kenya, women and men are arguing over wages. After 7 straight hours of working the quarries, they seem to differ on who should get how much and from who. In this documentary, I'll see how the women, mostly widows from Gekomu and Irianyi villages in Nyamira County, eke out a living by working in dangerous quarries. My name is Steve Mokaya. About a kilometer away from this village, at Gekomu village, is another quarry, dominated by women and children. These two adjacent villages are quite unique, thanks to what goes on there. Women, mostly widows, and children, mostly orphans, crack huge stones from the ground under for money.
Now I am digging this surface so that I can reach the stone to hew out.
That is Hailini Kwamboka digging the ground to get stones. She has been eking out her income through this tiresome activity. Her husband died in 2007 and left her with 7 children to feed, educate, and bring up. When almost everything failed, she sought solace in this quarry.
I feed my children from these stones. Others are in secondary school, while others are in tertiary institutions. The main problem is that when cracking the stones, sometimes we are injured in the eyes and on our limbs, but we get treatment in the hospital and come back.
As she digs the ground using crude tools, a few meters away from her is Vinik Kerubo, her firstborn. Vinik is working shoulder to shoulder with her mom to help her bring up the family.
I am the firstborn in a family of 7 children. I'm unmarried and I live with my mother and other siblings. In addition, I have a baby. My father died in 2007. By the way, I didn't complete my secondary school education. I quit while I was in Form 2. When my father died, my mother could not raise the school fees. We mine stones here to get a living and sustain our family.
She adds that this work is no walk in the park as it is full of challenges.
Cracking these stones is really hectic. You can hit so many times without any success. It can take up to a whole week to fill a lorry, and yet we don't always have food at home.
About 20 meters from mom and daughter, I find Gertrude Kerubo seated on the ground, cracking big stones into smaller particles. I interrupt her concentration in work to search for answers. Gladly, she responds, albeit with a faint smile.
We lack food. Our fields are not arable. That makes us to come here to look for a livelihood. I get my stones from a very far place, and there is no proper road network. I get to work at 6 in the morning before the hot sun is up.
Besides mothers and widows, school-going children are working here. Due to the COVID-19 pandemic, most of them are at home. With no sign of schools reopening soon, some of them resolved to try their hands in this work. Brian Kebago is one of such a kind. He walks me down the cave where he mines stones for cracking. Oh, so this is where you get your these huge stones, eh?
Yeah.
It's like a cave. The cave is somewhat dark, with huge walls towering above and around. Any stranger must be afraid of this place. It is life-threatening.
I came here to search for money because there's no food at home and my parents are unemployed. In addition, schools are closed due to the coronavirus outbreak. I use the money that I get from here to do shopping and then give the rest to my parents.
The women and children here are so busy and they seem not to worry much about the hard work. I meet another widow, Lynette Barongo. Lynette is with her 3 children, the eldest being 16. They are carrying huge stones on their heads to a common heap of theirs. Lynette opens up about how she found herself here.
Tunafanya kazi ya kupasua mawe, juu hatuna kitu chenye tunapea watoto.
I mine and crack stones because I have no other means of income and I have to take care of my children. My husband died in 2012. Before coming here, I used to do contract where I was paid $1 a day. I saw it better to come work here because an average of about $2 a day is not too bad. We don't even have land to cultivate.
Kufanya hii tukipegwa hata shilingi 1200 zitatusaidia. Hatuna hata mahali pa kulima.
She adds that this is not an easy road because buyers are not guaranteed to come and injuries are almost sure to come.
Sometimes we display products on the roadside and nobody buys. The buyers do exploit us at times by paying us very little. At night, I often experience backaches because of the hard labor that I do by day.
Gertrude Kerubo says that she has to keep eye for another work to do as she can't fully bank on this activity to feed her family.
Customers are hard to get, but sometimes they do come once in a while. On bad days, I do odd contracts on people's farms to sustain my family.
Peter Makori is a regular buyer of the stones mined here, and I seek to know on how he buys and how they arrive at the prices.
I buy according to the tender that I have. If I have 10 orders, then I can buy 10 rolls of stones. The price is not constant though. It depends on your agreement with the seller.
This area is full of women and children, both boys and girls. Hardly can one see a man around. This prompts me to ask why men have given this work a wide berth. I meet Charles Barongo, a resident in this village.
Most men rise up early and go to do various contracts. They don't like the idea of working for long without payment. They just like getting fast money. They also regard this work as hard labor.
Back to Irianyi village. The quarries here are many and more vibrant than those of the neighboring Yakomu village. Besides, they have also created jobs for food vendors and informal security guards. In addition, here I find a few men competing with women. Job Nyambusero is one of them. He tells me that prior to coming here, he was a music artist, composing and singing youth songs in the slums of Nairobi. When their group lacked funding to commercialize their art, he was forced to come back to the village.
Besides working here in the quarry, I also do music. I sing hip-hop and rap.
Phantom Tosh, Tana and the Bruno on the piano. Phantom Tosh, time for mending, so don't cry. Miko yard word, red, be the god, red blood, gora mari war in the bed. Miko yard word, red, be the god, red, gora mari war in the bed. I'm showing Basharity, churching with effort.
Even the women here have their own share of challenges that made them to turn to the ground in search of stones for a living. They range from abject poverty, seeking for extra coin for school fees, barren land, and domestic violence. Stella Kwamboka tells me that lack of a house for a family was the original reason why she came to work here.
My name is Stella Kwamboka. I didn't have a house. I came, worked here, and bought a few iron sheets, which I used to build a house for my family.
After accomplishing her mission, she decided to stick here in the quarry for a somehow sustained income and largely to avoid his chronic drunkard husband.
As we speak, he is drunk and sleeping at home, just waiting for me to bring him lunch. Then he will eat and go back to the drinking den. That's what he does throughout the day. In fact, there are times he drinks so much that he chases me from home. I sleep outside several times. My neighbors take me in for a night.
Sheila Nyakeradio is a food vendor in these quarries. She has been selling food to the people who work here for a long time now. I asked her to tell me how she sees this work.
This work is really hard, especially for women. Very hard. You have to devote yourself. It is more challenging for the breastfeeding women because they spend a lot of energy hitting the stones and they don't get enough food. Definitely, their babies don't get enough milk.
My attention is caught by smoke billowing out of a cave with deafening sound of metal meeting a rock. I move closer to find out what is happening. Excuse me. Hello. Sama.
This rock is very hard to crack. I therefore use fire to make it soft. I buy a tire and pieces of firewood and burn the walls of the rock to make it soft to crack.
Just near the cave in which Makori is working is a lady who seems to be full of energy. Her name is Gladys Makori, and she happens to be the wife to the Makori in the cave. She tells me that they have been surviving through this activity even though they encounter challenges, especially when it rains heavily.
When it rains heavily, we have a huge challenge because runoff water fills all the caves we mine. That makes it hard for us to progress, and we are forced to hire a machine to pump the water or hire you to remove it.
Besides the rains, she says that this work is dreadful because death can visit them here at any time.
If you're not careful while mining out these stones, you can be easily buried alive by the huge wall from above. And yes, it has happened before, and somebody died.
Thanks for listening. My name is Steve Mokaya.